Hello guys. So this is going to be like a part 2 of the previous video because one of my subscribers, I think he's subscribed, I hope so. So he asked me to add more features like auth and calendar, and there is one more right here which asked me to do the auth feature. So today I'm going to do the auth and the calendar feature, and he also asked me to let me see. He asked me to use better auth, which personally I think it was cool to use. All right, so here is the updated app. All right, so there's the two features that I was talking about. So it's the calendar and the auth feature. So you can see that I'm authed, right? And if I go here to /calendar, this is going to show me a calendar of all of my tasks. By the way, we're going to build this calendar by hand. We're not going to use any library. All right, I can create here a new task and add here the in progress or what I want, and I can add it real quick, and here is. And if I want, I can see here the task details, and if I want, I can delete it. All right, and I can even select a specific date. So let me say like 2027. There's no task in 2027 that I created, and here the month also. All right, so let me go back to 2024, and here are my tasks. All right, so not only that, it also has the auth feature. So let me here hit sign out, and he's going to ask me if I am sure. Yes, I'm going to say yes, sign out. This is going to take me, and yeah, it's going to take me back to the auth page where I can sign in with Google. This is the only option that I added. All right, so I'm going to hit sign in with Google. Here are my dummy accounts, or the accounts that I have, and I can select here account. All right, so let me hit continue, and when I do that, this is going to take me to a user page. All right, so here I have specific task for a user. So if I have like user one task, right, and add this task, you can see the user here, and also if you go to calendar, you can see the task here. If I sign out now, so the account that I used was the one with the Luffy icon. So if I sign out with this one with the CJ profile, let me sign in. You will see that I don't have the task with user one, and now I have the the previous task that I had for that specific user. All right, so today we're going to add some more features to the app. All right, so let's go. So here it is, the app that we built it before. So this is the previous version, and now we're going to build the new one. All right, so before doing the actual calendar, what I'm going to do is the auth feature. All right, so again, one of my subscribers asked me to use better auth. All right, so this is what I'm going to use. So this is the library that I'm going to use, better auth, for authentication, of course. All right, so let me hit on get started. Let me open here new terminal, because I know we are going to install a lot of things. All right, so we can start with the installation. All right, so npm install better auth. All right, this should install the better auth library in our project. All right, while this is installing, I already know that we need a .env so we can store our secret keys. All right, so .env right here, and we are going to pass here the better auth secret. All right, so we need this secret because better auth is going to use JSON, and JSON, as you know, they need a secret key, and so they can hash like the credentials. All right, so here you can use the whatever auth key or auth secret you want, but I'm going to say 1 2 3 4. All right, and then you also need the better auth URL. This is going to be your base of URL. For me, it's going to be localhost 3000. Right. All right, so now the next step, and make sure this is installed, and it is. I think it is. Yeah, make sure you go to your package JSON, and you should find here the better auth. If I find it, it's right here. So better auth, it's all right. All right, so now here inside of lib, we are going to create here a new file, which is going to be the auth.ts. all right, so this is going to configure our auth. all right, so first thing that we need to do is import better auth from better auth. all right, and now what we need to do is export a const named auth that is going to be the return of the better auth. all right, so now here we need to pass some configurations for the auth client. So here the first thing that we need to do is pass here a database. all right, and if you remember, we're using here Prisma is our database of choice. all right, so what they have is like they have an adapter, so we need to import a Prisma adapter like this from better auth slash adapters. This is going to say that it's not going to find it, but it actually exists. all right, so we need to pass here the Prisma adapter, and once we have that, we need to pass here the Prisma client inside. all right, so they actually have access to the database. all right, and also we need to pass here the provider. all right, the provider is going to be which database we are using in the app. all right, so let me go to Prisma client, and I mean it's not here, and here on schema.prisma you're going to find here which provider we're using. So is PostgreSQL. Oh my days, it's so hard to pronounce. PostgreSQL, I think is how you say it. all right, besides that, you also need the social providers, which is going to be what you're going to use for authentication. As I said, the only thing that I'm using is Google. all right, so I'm going to go with Google. all right, so here for Google you need to pass two things. So the client ID, which we have to pass in from the .env, and as you may know, we don't have any Google client, neither any Google secret, but we're going to do that in a minute. So it's going to be process.env Google client ID, or empty string like this, or I mean and client secret, which is going to be process.env.google client and secret, or empty string like this. all right, so now let me go back to my .env and let me add those variables, and they are going to be empty for now. all right, we are going to go back on that file later. all right, so now is asking me to generate an ORM scheme for SQL migrations file, so we are going to do that. all right, so this is going to do something like update our database. all right, so npm better auth /CLI generate is the command that you can see here. Let me open it away so you can see better, and it's going to ask you a couple questions. So do you want to generate the schema to Prisma blah 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 schema? Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, and I say no. I don't know why. So you need to actually say with a W, otherwise with a Y, I mean, otherwise it's not going to do it. all right, there we go. So now with the schema generated, so what it did, it updated here the schema on the schema.prisma. we are going to update our database, but there's something that we need to do before that. So do you remember when I said that a task belonged to a user, right? So here we are going to do that for in our database. all right, so let's start here on the tasks. all right, so a task has a owner. all right, so owner, and a owner is a user, right? And as you know, this is going to be a relation, right? So for the fields for the relation is going to be the owner ID, right? So this is the field for the relation. So let me say here owner ID, which is going to be a string. all right, so this owner ID is a reference to the ID from the user, right? So easy, right? And what a user has, it has a list of tasks, just like so. So here what we're saying is that a task can only have one user, and the field that is referencing to the user is the owner ID, which is referencing to the user.id. And here on the user, you're going to say that a user can have many tasks. That's what we're doing here. I hope I didn't forget anything. All right, so now that we have that, we can use that, if I remember, is npx prisma db push to update the database. And yeah, this is completely because of the formatting. All right, so I don't know why they format it automatically every time you try to do a push, but anyway, so first we need to do npx prisma format just to format here the code, so it's going to be formatted. There we go. And now you can say npx prisma db push, so the changes that you've made here are going to be on the database. And here is going to say, to apply these changes, we need to reset the database. Do you want to continue? And this is because here it says edit the required column owner ID to task table without a default value. There are 5 rows in the table. It's not possible to execute this step. All right, and this is because, as you saw on the message, there is this owner ID, new owner ID that we added here, right? This property, and the test that we had before here on the app didn't had any owner ID, so it's saying either you pass here a default value, so like default blah 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 blah, or all of the data that you have on the database is going to be deleted. And I'm going to say yes, don't really mind, right? So with this, this is updated. All right, I can even go to my Neon database. I don't know if I have access here. I don't know which account I use for Neon, so I'm not going to bother with that. So basically it just updated here the database. All right, so now, as I said, we need to go back to this .env file. Let me just make sure that I'm following correctly. Oh no, before that we have something that we need to do, which is the mount handler. All right, so when we click sign in, what it's going to do is going to take us to this API right here that we're going to build in our page. Right, and this is API is going to say where we should go. So if we should go to the auth page, or if you go to the app page, this is what is going to do. All right, so what we need to do here is inside of app, and here we're going to create a new folder. And better, I'm going to create here a new folder which would be API slash and auth. So API auth, and then this square brackets, I think it's how you say it, and then 3 dots, and then all, and then slash route.ts. all right, so this is going to be a route to do exactly what I said. All right, so this brackets all is going to take all of the routes that are coming from this auth. All right, so for example, if I say like if I go to auth, yeah, this is the API, right? So if I say like auth, and then let me say like login. All right, so this is going to go to this route, right? Even if I say logout or sign in, it don't matter. All right, it's always going to go to this route. All right, and this Next.js handler is going to handle everything for us. All right, so let me import first the auth that we had. So auth that we created in the lib folder, and also let me import two Next.js JS handler like this. Handler, if I type that correctly, oh my days, handler like this. So from better of slash Next.js. all right, so what I'm going to do now is export the two handlers, that is the get and the post handler. All right, so this is going to be equal to Next.js handler, and we need to pass the auth inside. Believe it or not, we have almost everything configured. All right, so now go back to the lib folder, because we need to create here a new file, which is going to be the auth client.txt. Next.js. All right, so this is for the auth client. All right, so let me import first the create auth client that is coming from betteroff/react. All right, so as you may know, this is to create the client. All right, so just export here a const, then I'm going to name auth client. Here they are naming auth client 2, and which is going to be the create auth client return. All right, and that's it. Exactly, that's it. That's done. The only thing that we need to do is populate here the .env with actual values. All right, so for this you need to go to cloud and then Google, because we're going to use Google sign in to sign in the app. Right, and let me hit here on get started. All right, so now you are on cloud.google.com. You need to go here to console. Yeah, so here on console the page is going to look like this. All right, so what you have to do is create here a new project. All right, so let me create here a new one, which is going to be tasks. I already have one. I already have run with their exact name, so I can say like I don't know, let me just say to do. All right, so to do, and now you have to create the project. All right, so it's creating the project for me, and now you can select the project. All right, so now head over to API and services, and then OAuth consent screen. All right, so this is going to do what it's going to do is going to take you to the page where you can create the auth consent screen. Is where, yeah, I showed you that before. So yeah. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is going to say user type, and I'm going to say external. So let me hit create, and then here you need the app information. So let me say to do, and then user supporter email. Let me say my email right here. Let me just copy. And then for the app domain, I'm going to say HTTP localhost 3000. All right, so localhost 3000. Same thing here, same thing here. All right, and let me make sure that I do that well. HTTP blah 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 localhost. All right, and then for the developer contact email, again I'm going to use the email that I have right here, so gmail.com, and then save and continue. Right. All right, so now this is going to take you to this page or scopes, where you can add some scope. Here this is the information that you want to get from the user. So I just want the user email, profile, and the ID. Right, so let me hit here update, and there we go. Nothing more you have to do on that screen. All right, and now you have your test users. I'm going just to add my email again. I don't know why when I don't add any test users it doesn't work. All right, but I'm going to add here, so it's going to actually work. So yeah, that's it. So let me edit and then save and continue. All right, so with this you can go back to the dashboard, because your auth consent screen it's done. All right, so if you actually deploy this app, you need to change here the app domain, and maybe add new ones, or create here a new auth consent screen for your production ready application. Right, so mine's not going to go to production, so I just need one. Right, and the last thing that you need is the credentials. All right, so to actually this work, you need the client ID and client secret, and as you may know, we don't have that yet. All right, so to do this, we need to go here on create credentials, and then OAuth client ID. All right, so as you might guess, it's going to create you a ID for your app, and here you're going to say application type is going to be web application, the name is going to be to do, authorized JavaScript origins. I'm going to say HTTP localhost 3000, and also HTTP localhost without the 3000. I don't know why it doesn't work for me when I just say localhost 3000. So I'm going to say both, so make sure that it's going to work. All right, so localhost 3000 and HTTP localhost, just like that. All right, and then here for the redirect URIs, you need the localhost 3000 and the localhost 3000. I mean, just localhost like this, and also localhost API slash auth slash callback slash Google. Make sure that you spell that right. When I was doing that part of the application, I spent hours trying to find where it's not working. It's because I spelled that wrong. So localhost 3000 slash API slash auth slash callback and slash Google. All right, with this you can create it, and now you have the client ID, which I'm going to copy and paste here, and also the client secret. All right, so make sure you have them both in your app. All right, so with this we have everything that we needed. All right, so now we are going to create the auth screen. All right, so let me go here to app, and let me create here a new folder, which is going to be auth and then page.tsx. right? So this is going to be fairly easy to sign in. I'm going to just create RFC like this, and also I'm going to use client because we need the on click. I'm going to show you in a minute. And the only thing that we need here is just one div with a class name of height of screen to keep the whole screen, width of full to keep the whole width, flex, justify, center, items, center. So we have everything on the center. And now we're going to create the button, right? So we're going to create here the button, and then the class name is going to be flex item center and gap 1.5. all right. Okay, so for the icon, I'm going to use the FI Google that is coming from React icon. So let me hit here, import this from React icon slash FA. And then for the span, I'm going to say sign in with Google, like this. All right, so every time that I click in that button, so on click, I'm going to call a function named sign in. All right, so this sign in function is going to sign in the user. All right, so const sign in like this, which is going to call that function. So this is going to be async like this. And now what we have to do is just have to await auth client to sign in. So sign in dot social. So we're going to ask them to sign in with the Google provider. All right, so provider Google. Believe it or not, it's all we need to do. All right, so let me go back here to the page and say slash auth like this, and there we go. Now we have the page to sign in. So let me hit sign in with Google, and hopefully we don't have any errors. And we do have an error, so let me see what it is. Yeah, it has to do with the Prisma adapter. So for some reason this is not passing the Prisma correctly. Let me just restart the server to see if that's if this is going to solve the error, and it worked now. So yeah, sometimes restarting your app makes solves the error. All right, so let me sign in with this user and hit continue, and it seems that even the Google thing is working. So yeah, and there we go. Now I am in the user page. All right, so let me, oh, we don't have the sign out button. So let me just create here the sign out button to show you one problem of the app. All right, so let me go to here on the components and then navbar, and let me say logout.tsx. This is going to be the button to log out the user. All right, so logout like this. And as I showed you earlier, we're going to use like a dialog to make sure to ask the user if they are sure that they want to sign out, right? So let me go here and let me say dialog. I don't know if we have this installed already. Dialog and I think we do, right? So we're going to use first the dialog itself, so dialog like this, and then we need a trigger. All right, so dialog trigger like this, and make sure you import this from UI, not from Radix. And here this trigger is going to have a class name of hover text red 500. all right. And for the icon, we're going to just use the MD outline logout, which is going to be the icon that we're going to use. All right, so let me import that from React icon slash MD, right? And this is not a capital L, it's just like this. All right, now for the dialog content. So dialog content, again, not from this Radix UI. I don't know why this keeps showing up. We're going to add this from UI, right? There you go. For the dialog content, we are going to show first the dialog header, right? Which is going to show a dialog title, and the title is going to just say, "Are you sure?" Right? So asking the user if he is sure that what he is doing, right? And then for the dialog footer, we're just going to say add here a class name, which is going to say sm justify start like this, and also here a button which is going to so the user can confirm he is signing out. So he's going to say yes, sign out, and the type of this button is going to be a button, and on click we are going to call the sign out function. All right. Besides that button, we're also going to have the dialog close, which, guess what, is going to close the button. So button, and it's going to say just close. All right, don't forget to add the child property, and also the type button here, and variant as secondary. All right, nice. So now we just have to create that function, and this is going to be very easy to do. Right, so let me say here sign out is going to be a function, and then we need the auth client, all right, to sign out the user. Right, easy as that. And now we need the fetch options, because when the user is signed out, so on success of the sign out process, what I am going to do is going to push the user back to the auth page. All right, so let me just use here the router so we can actually push the user. So use router, and make sure that you import the use router from /navigation, since the router is not available anymore. So router dot push to the auth page, right? So with this we have the logout functionality done, and let me close all of the files, and now let me go back to the navbar. So here on the index, and here below the avatar, I'm going to show the logout, right? Nice. Now you should see an icon to logout, and here is complaining because we are using use client things here, and you're not using use client flag. So let me just use the use client flag right here, and hopefully you can see the sign out method. And I don't know why I have a gap of 12 here. It's just supposed to be a gap of 4, right? Nice. So now let me log out, and yeah, it's going to say, "Are you sure?" I'm going to say yes, sign out. And what this is going to do is take me back to the auth page. There we go. And now let me go back to the localhost 3000. When I do this, you see that it let me go to the localhost 3000, but I am not signed out, so this gives me an error. All right, so what I have to do is protect every time that the user is not authenticated. This is not going to let me go to the localhost 3000. Right, so for this we need a middleware. So a middleware is something that, like, I cannot find a better image. So let's say this is like that. So middleware is something that runs between the client and the server, right? So here we're going to create a middleware middleware.ts. So this is going to run every time that we make a request to the server. So that means that every time that I go to a page, this middleware function is going to run, right? So let me export an async function, which is going to be the middleware, right? So we need a request, so we have the access to the request like this. All right, and then one thing that you need to do, which I'm going to show you why. So let me just say console log dot log like this. So we say run, so to show that it run. All right, so now let me go back here to the page and let me hit refresh, and you can see that it run 3, 4, 5, 6 times. All right, so this is because, as I said, it's going to run every time that we make a request. So there's files that need to be downloaded. So let me go here to the inspect and downloads, network. So there are files that need to be downloaded from the server, right? So most of these files, every time that I make a request, this function needs to run because it's coming from the server, right? So what we need to do is say to only run on the client. What we need to say to Next.js is to only run this function when we are on a page. All right, so if you search middleware Next.js, you're going to go to that page, right, where you can find this matcher right here. So what this matcher is going to do is only going to match, so it's saying here, match all request paths except for the one starting with API, next static, next image, blah 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 blah. So we don't need this on the middleware, right? And now we can start doing our function. All right, so the first thing to do is to get the user. All right, so const data is coming from await better of better fetch. So by the way, we need to install that library, np install better fetch /fetch like this. All right, so this is the library that we need. There we go, this is installed. So let me import better fetch that is coming from better fetch /fetch. All right, so now we need to await better fetch to get us the user. So for this we need to go to the API /auth/get session. All right, so we're using the API that we've built here on the let me go here. Yeah, here on the API we built this API, right? So now we are using it to get the session, and for this we need the base URL. There's going to be the request dot next URL dot origin. All right, so for the base URL it's going to be that, and for the headers, so it's information that we need to pass to the server, we need to pass a cookie. All right, cookie, and we also here need to pass the request dot headers dot get cookie. So we need to pass here all of the cookies from the headers, or empty string like this. All right, so with this you see there is not typed, is saying unknown, so unknown. So now what we need to do is pass here a type that we're going to build to create now. So here on the lib again, we need to pass here create here the types.ts, which we need to import here a type from auth. So we're going to import this as a type from auth. So yeah, like this. What we're going to do is export a type of session. So this is going to be so we know the type, which is going to be the type of dot infer dot session, right? So now we have the type for that session, so we just need to import it from the lib. Make sure you import this from the lib, and there we go. So .lib/types. Now we actually have information about the data that we're getting, right? So here I'm going to create a dummy variable, which is going to be auth, right? So we need to get to know if the user is auth or not, right? So again, what those two exclamation marks do is transform this into a boolean, right? So for example, if I say have here a string of hello, if I put these two exclamation marks, this is going to transform this value into a boolean. If I say like 0, is a 0 for JavaScript is false, it's going to say false. If I say like 5, this is going to say true, right? So like that. Okay, so now we need to make a check. All right, so if user, so here this is going to be the protected route, so / / and also calendar, so includes blah blah request next URL dot path name. So if user is trying to go to these protected routes, you can even say here protected routes like this. Okay, so const protected routes is going to be that array. So if user is the page that user is going are inside of the protected route array, and he is not signed in, so and he is not auth, what we're going to do is say hey, you cannot go here. So you say return next response and say to the user to go to the auth page. So new URL and then /auth and the request URL. So if he's not signed in, why he's trying to go to the local to the home page and the /calendar. All right, so take the user back to the auth page. All right, so let me try to do that, and here you see automatically when I try to go to the home page, as I am not signed in, this takes me back to the auth page. All right, now one other thing that I need to do is check if the request dot next URL dot path name is equal to /auth and we are signed in. What the hell are we doing that page, right? So if we are signed in and we are on the auth page, what we are doing? So what we are going to do is just return the user back to the home page. So next response dot redirect new URL, and this is going to be the home page, and then request dot URL. So yeah, just go back to the home page where you were. All right, so this is it to protect the routes. All right, so now let me sign in here, and there we go, I am signed in. And yeah, if you see this indentation error, this is because I forgot to add here a tag, which is going to be the table row, and now we can pass here the t head inside. So this should hopefully fix that error that is so annoying. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now all we have to do is the calendar page. All right, so for this I'm going to go here on the app and say calendar, so calendar like this, and just say that, and then page.tsx and then RFC to create the page. All right, and now let me go to the navbar, and to look for the file, you're going to use Ctrl or Command P, and then you type the name of the file, which is navbar, and yeah, there we go. So now let me go to links, and here we have the link to the task. So let me just say here link, which is coming from next link, and the href is going to be slash like this. All right, and also you need to pass here a new link to the calendar, which the href is going to be slash calendar, just like so. All right, so now let me go to the calendar page, and in a minute that you do that, you'll see just a simple page here. So as you may guess, I also want the navbar, so we need to fix that, right? So let me close here all of the files, and let me go to the layout, and also open here the page. All right, so what we have here is the navbar on the actual home page. So this is why when we go to slash calendar, the calendar doesn't show up, the navbar doesn't show up. All right, so we need to fix that. So just copy here this slash this navbar tag, and you are going to put that inside of the provider's wrapper. So then put this navbar just inside of it. All right, and also you have this hide screen blah 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 div, this top div that you got here. So just take this out and put this below here the navbar, and put the children inside. All right, so with this we should have the calendar in the page. All right, so let me just hit refresh, and there we go. And now one more error that you're going to see is that we don't have this border on the bottom of the navbar, because the border that we have is actually coming from this property here. So what I'm going to say is to remove let me go here. So yeah, just going to say remove the border that it's on the top. All right, so no border on the top, so the border that used to be here is going to disappear. But now we just need to go to the navbar and add a border for the actual navbar. So let me just say here border bottom. All right, so now we have the border bottom right here. Nice. So let me go work on the calendar, and let me just say this calendar is going to be huge, right? Because we are going to build this by hand, right? So let me go to the calendar page. So calendar, and let me create here a calendar component.tsx. So RFC blah blah blah, and use client. All right, so this calendar is going to be right here. So calendar, and to the calendar to work, we need to get the actual test from the user. All right, so let me say const test is await get test, the function that you use to have. All right, so export default async function like this. Right, this should give us all of the tests that we have for the database, and we also have to make a change in that function to get the actual test from the user, but we're going to do that later. All right, so for now let me just focus on the calendar. All right, so for the calendar we actually need the calendar, the test property as props. All right, so let me say here calendar props. So let me say type is going to be calendar props, which is going to be an array of task. All right, so let me just quickly get it right here. All right, so for this we are going to use a library named date fns. So this is going to help us when we handle with date. All right, so np install date fns. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is to know how many days in a month are there is. Right, so let me say here const days in month, like this, which is going to say, which we are going to use the each day of interval function from date f and s. All right, so let me just quickly import that. So import from date f and s. All right, so we need the start, so first day of the month. So first day of the month, we need to create the variable here. So const first day of the month, which is going to be the first day of the month. So it is going to get this for us. So first day of month, and to get the first day of the month, we need to actually get a date. So for now, just going to say here current date, which is going to be new date. All right, so name pass here the current date, and also, as you may guess, we need the last day of the month. So last day of month, which is going to be end of month, and also we need to pass here the current date. All right, so this is going to give us the number of days that a specific month has. All right, so like this. All right, so here let me just say create here a div with a padding of 6. All right, so before actually showing the month, what I'm going to do is show the week days. All right, so let me just say here const week days, which is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right, so nothing new. Right, so now let me create here another div, which is going to be class name grid co7. all right, so so as you may know, a week has 7 days, so week 7 and then gap of 1. Right, so now we are going to map through all of the weekdays. So weekdays dot map, and for each week we're going to show a span like this, which is going to show the specific week. All right, and let me add here class name, which is going to be font medium, hidden font medium like this, and for the key is going to be the actual week. All right, so let me go back here to the calendar, so hopefully we can see the weekdays. There we go. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and blah 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 blah. All right, so now we need to actually show the days. All right, so as you know, a calendar starts on the day 1, of course, and also on the week, like on the selected week. So if the day 1 starts on the Friday, then the day 1 is going to start also on the Friday here. So we need to get this gap right here that we so we know which day of the week the calendar should start. All right, so for this I'm going to use create here a new variable, which is going to be starting day index like this. All right, so we need to get the day. So this is going to give us the actual weekday. This is not day of like from 1 to 31. It's going to give us the day as 0 to 6. That is the day of the weeks. All right, so it pass here the first day of the month -1. So if this is equal to 6, so if this -1 minus is minus than 0, then we are going to return 6. Otherwise we're going to return the actual first day of the month -1. All right, so now we need, doing this, we should have the gap days. All right, So now here below the weekdays, I'm going to create here a dynamic block. So starting day index, where we need to do an actual dummy array because it's not an array. So array from length starting days of the day index, and do an actual map. Right, so let me just do that real quick. So what we're doing here, we are going to create here a dummy array. So the length of this array is going to be the same number that we got here. So starting the index, so if it's 5, then the length is going to be 5, and if it's 4, the length is going to be 4. All right, so we are mapping this just to show a div with a class name of bg secondary /60 and min height of 44, and then the key is going to be the index. Right, so this is going to fill the gaps here. All right, so actually which month it is. So November actually starts on November actually starts on Friday. So if you see here, November actually starts on Friday, and yeah, it actually starts on Friday here in our app too. So yeah, this is working. All right, and now we need to actually get the rest day of the month. All right, which we already got here. All right, so let me add here a new array map, which is going to be days in a month. All right, so what I'm going to do is just do a map, and here it gives me a date because this is an array of date. Right, so for each date, what I'm going to do is return a div. All right, so this div is going to have a key of date.to ISO string because every date is different. All right, so we need to pass a different key for each div, and then the class name is going to be bg secondary relative flex items and p of 1 and min height of also 44 pixels, and then height full and group. All right, so bg secondary relative, so we can use absolute later, and then flex items, and this is going to put all of the items on the bottom of the container, and then p1 for some spacing, min height of 44. So if it doesn't have any text inside, then at least it's going to have 44 pixels, and then height of full and group for the animation that we're also going to do later. All right, now what we have to do, we are going to show the actual task for each. I don't know why it keeps going to the calendar, to the home page. Yeah, now you can see here the calendar showing up. Very beautiful, right? So now what we're going to do is show the actual task for a specific date. All right, so let me say here class name, and then space 1 of 1, and then width of full. All right, so what I'm going to do is create here another variable, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to group the tasks by the date. All right, so imagine that we have, I think you understood, but imagine that we have a date for like 25 of November, right? So this is a date, right? So for this, I'm going to have the task 1 and task 2, right? For example. So later, when we want to get the task, what we're going to do is we're going to get the task grouped by date, and then we are going to access that exact date, so 25 of November, and this is going to return us this array of tasks. All right, so this is what we're going to do. So let me create this variable now. So tasks grouped by date, like this. and what we're going to use is reduce. All right, so I hope I don't know if you know this method already, but I'm going to explain you what it does. All right, so this is going to map through our variable, and also you need to pass here an initial value. So for initial value, this is going to be an empty object, right? So here you have access to two things. So the account, the current. So this is going to be the current value of this variable. So this is going to be the actual current value of the variable, right? So we're just going to say record and then string slash comma task array. So as I said, to access the task, we need to get a string which is going to be a date, right? I want to show you in a minute. And also we also have the access to the task. All right, so now we need to first create a date key, which is going to be, we are going to format it using the function from date fns. Make sure you import from here, which we are going to pass the task created at, and we're going to format on the PPP way. All right, so now we have the date key. All right, so now we are going to check if this date key is not on the map already. What we're going to do is create it. All right, so we're going to create a new date key for that specific date key, and for now this is going to be empty. All right, and if already has, what it's going to do, we are going to push inside of that date key this specific task. All right, so with this, and actually now what we have to do is return the actual current variable. All right, so now we have this map which we can get the dates. All right, now what we're going to do is do a map. So let me put this here inside. So let me format again. So we are going to get the specific date and this pp format way. So if you remember, we the key is that, so the date and then formatted like that, and we are going to get that date and get all of the tests that are inside of that date, right? So it's either going to be this or an empty array if the this date is not inside of here. All right, and finally what we're going to do is a map. All right, so map, so for each task we're going to show a div. All right, so div like this, which is going to have a key of task.id, because now we are using the tasks, and the class name is going to be bg-zinc 700 hover brightness 125. So this is the normal background, and when we hover it is going to be brighter, and then transition O for animation, rounded to round a little bit the task container, and then shadow. All right, and also P2 and text small. Right, so now what we're going to do is add here a span, which is going to have a class name of block truncate and font medium like this, and text left. So if you don't know what truncate is imagine that the container that we have is too big and it doesn't fit all of the tests. So the test is like this, and the container only goes until here. What it's going to do, this is going to cut the rest and three values and add 3 dots like this. So it's not going to show actually more than it fits on the container. And what we're going to put here inside is the title. So task dot title, and also the paragraph, which is going to be the task.description. And again, you need to pass this truncate so it doesn't go more than it should. All right, so I'm also going to use the status bullet, so I can see the status that it is. All right, so this is going to be status, which is going to be the task dot status, right, as task status, I think. Yeah, now let me just pass here the task inside of the calendar so we can actually work. Let me see what the error is on the app, because we are not using any navbar right here. And let me go back to the calendar page. Right, so let me go to /calendar, and now you see here the calendar, but you don't see any tasks. Let me just refresh. Oh, I don't see any tasks right here. Let me just console log here. Maybe I did something wrong. Tasks, group by date, and open here the inspect. We get an empty object, and let me see why. So make sure that we have here the tests. So let me say like tests. It's going to be test. Oh yeah, it's because we don't have any tests. Oh my days. So let me go here on tests and select test 1 and create it. Oh, and to create we need to pass the owner. Yeah, so we need to do to fix that. Right, so let me go back to the form. Right, so I mean to the actual form from index right here, and what we have to do is when we create is here when before creating the actual task, what we're going to do is pass the owner ID. All right, so here let me say const owner ID is going to be session dot user dot ID. And where is coming this session is coming, you might ask. Well, this is coming from the use session. All right, so let me say const here, let me get the data, which we're going to rename to session, and is pending. All right, so it's coming from auth client dot use session. Right, so it actually give us the is pending variable, which shows if we are still getting the value of the user. All right, so for the is pending, what I'm going to do is here on the is editing button. Let me, yeah, so here when we say add task, so we are going to disable it. So disable it if we are creating the user, because I only want to create the task if we have a user that is loaded. So this is going to be disabled if it's pending or if it's loading. All right, nice. And we are going to copy this because we're going to do also here on the save changes button. So do the same here on the save changes button, and also I mean you already have here. So, and also here on the delete button. All right, so now we have the owner ID, right? What we have to do is just pass this owner ID to here to the data, right? So let me spread here the data, and also I'll add here the owner ID, which is going to be a string. I mean, what am I doing? So owner ID just like this. All right, and I think this is going to complain because we're not accepting any owner ID, right? So here what we have to do is actually remove this form schema from here and use built-in type from Prisma. All right, so this is going to be Prisma dot task create. So let me first import the Prisma. So Prisma task create args and data. So this is going to be the data to every time that we create the task. All right, so here we also need to pass the owner ID, which is going to be the task dot owner ID, owner id as string. What you could do is also spread everything here, but yeah, I just want to leave like this. So you might, I don't know if you're going to this is going to show up to you, but if you don't have the actual types, what you have to do is just restart, close the Visual Studio Code and reopen, because you need to get types updated, right? So but it's going to be basically that. So let me do it. Let me close here the Visual Studio Code. And this is complaining about the description. So let me just say here description is either going to be task dot description or empty string. Alright, so hopefully it should stop complaining. And yeah, task possibly yeah. So if task doesn't exist, then yeah, just return an empty string. So add task. So it's going to create me a task. There we go. And if I go to the calendar, now you see the task right here, right? So the task was made today, so day 11, day 13. So it should show here 13, what we're going to do now. So just show the actual day of the calendar, right? So let me close here days in a month. And so here below where we are showing the task, we're also going to create here another div, and we are going to use the class name, a dynamic class name, which we are going to use the cn function. All right, so the normal class name is going to be font black, absolute, top of 4, right of 4, width of 6, and also height of 6. Text is going to be small, and then flex justify center and item center to put everything on the center, and rounded to have a little roundness, and padding of 2 so we have some more space, and also some shadow, right? And then this is going to be we're going to create here we're going to use the isToday function from datefns, which we need to pass here the date, which is going to check if the current date is today. Right, so if is today, what we're going to do is show a background of red and 500, and then the text is going to be white. So if the date is today, and if it's not, we're going to show a bg of white with a text zinc of 600. Right, so let me go here and actually show the date. So it's going to be date dot get date like this, right? And this is actually not here, as I said that before, but it's so here days in a month, right, is here inside of days in a month, but it's not here where we show the task. It's actually below it. All right, so now let me format that and make sure you add a comma here, so this is not going to complain. All right, so this should show us the day for each container. There we go. Now you can see here the day for each container. And now we are almost done. We just need to do two things, which is showing every time that we click here, show the model. So this is what we're going to do now. Oh, we need one more thing, which is to select the date, right? So let's just create it. So let me create here a div, which is going to show the class name of space x2 and margin bottom of 8. And let me add here a span to say select. So we can select a specific date. So font medium like this. Okay, so yeah, so we can select a specific date. So if I want to go to another year, like 2027, I can go, or another month, I can also choose whatever I want. Right, so here let me create here a pop over like this, coming from components UI pop over, and we also have a pop over trigger like this, and pass here as child, so which is going to show here a button. All right, so the type of this button is going to be a variant. The variant of this button is going to be secondary, right? And make sure you import that button. and here need to get, and here we have to create a new state, which is going to be year, and set year. All right, so we can select the year that we want. So it's going to be use date, and by default it's going to be the current date dot get full year. All right, so the current date year, so by default it's going to be that. And also we need a month. All right, so month state, which is going to be set month, like this, and current day, blah 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 blah. So here on inside of the button, we're going to check if we already have a year. We're going to show the year, and if not, we're going to say select a year. All right, so like this. All right, and now below here, the popover trigger, we're going to have the popover content. All right, so make sure you import that from components like this, and we're also going to add here a class name of w of auto and py of 1, px of 0, and space x of 3, space y of 3, and here is going to be a line start. All right, so this is just to style it a little bit. And now we are going to show the actual years. All right, so this is going to be a little complex, so let me show you. All right, so what we're going to do first is create an array of 5 elements. So array from length of 5. All right, so what I want here is, what I want is the current year on the center, so 2024, and then the latest 5 years before that current year, and then on the front the other 5 years that are going to come. All right, so here I'm going to do the previous 5 years. All right, so 5.map, and here we need the index so we can actually map. And what we're going to do, we're going to create a const of y, which is going to be current date dot get full year. So it's going to get the 2024, for example, and then this is going to do minus 6, and then minus index my plus 1. All right, so I told you that it will be very confusing. So what, let's imagine that the year that we are talking, so yeah, let's just say 2024, for example, right? So imagine, so as this has a length of 5, this should start on, so imagine that the year is 2024, right? So as this has 5 of length, and the first item is going to be the first item, so the index here is going to be 0. So 0 plus 1 is going to be 1, and then 1 minus 6 is going to be 5, right? And then 5 minus 24, it should give us 2019, right? And then for the second year, so the year now is now this is the second index, so index here should be 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 2 minus 6 is going to be 4, and then 4 minus the current date, which is 2024, is going to be 2020. All right, simple as that. All right, and then what we're going to do is actually return the actual year. So div like this, and then key, which is going to be index, and then class name, which is going to be the class name, which is going to be the date class name, which we're going to create, right? So the class name we just created right here. So const the class name is going to be hover bg secondary, make sure you spell that right, transition all, px of 4 and py of 1, and also rounded of 4. All right, so I just did that so I don't have to copy and paste every time that I wanted to change the class name. All right, so now we have the class name in hand, and let me add here an on click So when we click in one of the years, I want to set the year to that new year, so this Y right here. So set the new year to this new year, right? And then it's going to be the Y, so we can actually show the year. And then this is for the previous years, right? So this is for previous years, like this. And now what we're going to show is the current year. So current year, so basically is the same thing as we have here. So the only thing is that we don't have any key right here, and the year is the current year, so it's going to be current date dot get full year, right? And now what we have to do is the next years, so it's going to be next years. Let me just format it, the document. And for the next years, we're going to do something similar as we did for the previous years, right? So the only difference is here on the calculation. So it's going to be, instead of this, it's going to be plus index plus 1. So if it's the first element, then the index is 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and then plus the current date year is going to be 2024, so 2024 plus 1 should give us 25, and the same calculation for the next years, right? So let me go back to calendar, and now you see that right here, right? So nice. So this is for the years, and now let me do the months. All right, so for the months, let me just copy this and put just down below it, and the content is not going to be the same, and also the month is not going to be the same, right? So here for the button, we're going to show here an array of months, which I'm going to create it in a minute, and then we're going to select a specific month, right? And for the content, we're going to say width of auto, yeah, it's going to actually, okay, it's going to be the same, right? So now we need to get the months of the year, right? So let me just go to ChatGPT. So I'll say, give me an array, JavaScript array, give me a JavaScript array of all of the months of the year, right? So let me just copy it, and let me say here months, like this. So here we're going to make a map for the months that we got here. So I just pasted up here on the file, and here we're going to make a map through for each month, and let me show here div for each month, and here it has to be 2 because we have 2 properties, right? And for the key is going to be m, or month, since every month is different, and then class name is going to be again the D class name, so the date class name, and on the on click we are going to show a specific month, so set month to be the specific index, right? And then here we are just going to show the month. So month is actually going to be a number, not the actual month, so here we're going to show the month index, right? And now what we have to do is update here the starting index and blah 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 blah, since, right? So here we need to create here a new variable, which is going to be the selected date. So selected date, which is going to be a new date. So we're going to create here a new date, which is going to be a year. So we need the year, the month, and also the selected day, which we still have to create it, right? So we're going to be const which will be selected date, and of course the set selected date, I mean day, not date. So just change here, which is going to be a use state, and for now, or for the default value, is going to be the current date dot get date, right? And now here on where we had the map for the days, we are going to add here an on click, so we can actually select the days. So set selected day is going to be date.getDate, like so. And now what we're going to do with this selected date, so here we need to change here the current date. So every time that we change the year, the month, or the selected date, the first day of the month is going to change, and is going to make the days in the month change, so we know the first day of the month, right? And here on the month is not get full years, get month, right? So let me just quickly change it, and now we have this done, almost done. So there's something here that is not working, so let me just say here flex, so everything is going to be on the flex, and also item center. Nice. So now here we can select the date, and you see every time that we change it, it changes accordingly. So let me just go back to November in 2024, like this. And here is not year, is current date dot get full year. All right, so to select the actual year. All right, so yeah, with this we are almost ready. The only thing that we need is create the form to create a new task, or when we click to select a new one. Here on the models, here on where we have the padding of 6, let me add here a model. So the model that we've created manually. So model, we need to pass here a title, which is going to be task details, and then is open, that is going to be a variable that is going to be show model, like this, and also the close, which is going to be the state to close or open the task. All right, so it's going to be set selected. Let me spell that right. Set selected task, which is going to be no, so we can close. And for the model, we're going to show inside, it's going to be a div with a class name of mean width of 500 pixels. All right, and here for the form, we're going to show a task. So let me import the form from I think, yeah, it's that form. And for the task, we are going to show the selected task. We're going to create that in a minute. That is going to be of type task, right? So on submit or on delete, what we're going to do is actually do the same as we did here on the close, right? So here I'm going to create here a new state, which is going to be selected task and set selected task, like this, which is going to be a use state that is either going to be a task or it's going to be null. All right, so it's going to start as null, and also we need to create here another variable, which is going to be the show model. All right, so show model is only going to be true when we have a selected task. All right, now with this, let me go back to the calendar. Let me click here, and here is what we have to do is call the actual function. So yeah, right, so let me click here and nothing happened. And because what we have to do is when we click, so let me search here, so when we click in one of the tasks, so on click, all we have to do is call the set selected task variable, all right, to the task. So this show model is going to be true and the model is going to show up, right? So let me go to calendar again and click here, and now you can see here the task, right? So even if I change here, let me edit here description and update, now you see that it updates accordingly, right? So the last thing that we need to do is when we hover in one of the days, we have here create button, so we can create the actual date, right? I mean the actual task, right? So to do that, you remember this thing where it shows the day, so let me go above it and create here another div, and actually it's going to be almost the same thing. So let me just copy it right real quick, and we don't need this this thing, right? So it's going to be bg zinc 700 and text of white, and the rest is going to be the same, but here the left is just going to change, the right is going to change to left, right? And here we are going to show here a fi plus icon. So this is the icon that we're going to use, that is coming from, guess what, React icons. So import from React icon slash fi, like so. Right now let me go back here to the app. So let me refresh. You see this icon showing up in all of the cards, and what we're going to do is say this is going to be hidden, so it's going to be opacity 0, but when we hover on the group, so group hover, what is going to happen is going to be opacity 100, so it's going to show up fully, so opacity 100. So you see that only when we hover on it, this is only going to change to show then there. And also need a transition, also we need a little bit of animation. It's not like that heavy the change, right? And what is going to happen when we click in one of these buttons? What it's going to do is call a function named open new task form, which we need to pass here the date. Why? Because when we create a task in a specific date, I want to the created attribute to have the specific date value. All right, so here let me create this function in a minute. So open new task form, which is going to be an arrow array, an arrow function I mean, and here we need to get the date, which is going to be the date, right? So one more, I think this is the last variable that we're creating here, so it's going to be new task form default date. This is going to be a use ref, and no, it's not the last one, we need one more. So yeah, and it's either going to be date or undefined, like this. So when we open new form, the date dot current, so the default new task form default date is going to be date, like this. And we also need one more variable, and yes, I think this is the last if I'm not mistaken, which is going to be show new task form, and set show new task form, okay, just to show it up. It's going to be a use state, which is going to start as false. All right, when we click, this is going to be true. All right, so true, like this. Nice. So let me just copy this model and create here a new one, and it's going to say new task, like this. And the is open is going to be the show new task form, like this. And to close it, it's just going to be this set set show new task form to false. All right, so we can actually close this thing. All right, so the same thing here on the on submit or delete. Nice. And we are not going to pass any task in advance, but what we have to do is go here on the props and add here a new prop, which is going to be the default date, which is going to be date, right? So as you may know, this is not required. We don't need to pass in every one that we do. All right, and then for the default date, what it is going to be the new task form default date, this big as variable name. All right, so now let me click here and let me try and let me try to create here a new task. So let me say hello, and let's say in progress, and add the task. And we got an error which cannot read the properties of undefined reading description. Oh, here's not task description, this actually data.description, because this is coming from the data, right? So yeah, it's my bad. So yeah, sometimes TypeScript really helps and you should not ignore it. All right, so let me just go here on the day 8 and add here new task, and it was added on the day 13 because we still need to pass the default date to the actual database, right? So here on the form, let me get the default date, right? And when we create it, all right, so here on the created add, we need to pass here the created add, and the created add is going to be the default date, like this, right? So, and now here let me pass here the created add, which is going to be the task dot created add, right? Now I think it should work now. So let me see, let me add here on the day 7 and say fff add the task, and there we go, that task is here. But we have one problem. If I sign out now and if I enter with a different account, this is going to show my task to a different user, because here when we get the task, so let me go here to the to here, when we show the task, we are showing the every task that we have in the database, right? So to fix this, we need to get the specific user that is signed in. So first we need to get the session, which is coming from our the auth.api .get session, like this, and we need to pass the headers, which is going to be await headers, and pass here the headers from next headers, right? So make sure you import that. So headers is from next headers, all right? And then we need to get the user ID, which is on session, and then user.id, right? So we know which user is signed in. Okay, so this is ordering by the created blah blah blah, and we also need to add here the where. So get me all of the tasks where the owner ID is that specific user that is signed in, right? So basically just copy this and do the same here, so we get the status. All right, so here is going to be where status is blah blah blah, and where the owner ID is the user ID. Okay, so let me just copy it real quick and paste that here. All right, so yeah, I think with this our app is working now. Okay, so let me sign out and enter with a different account. So sign out and sign in with Google. Yeah, this takes me to the same thing because I only have one account here. Let me just edit a new one. Okay, so let me sign out now. Now I have 2 accounts in that browser. So let me sign with Google and enter with this account. Right, so let me hit continue, and hopefully, yeah, I don't see nobody's task right here, but I'm going to create here a new one. So just going to say hello 1 and add the task. There we go, we have the task right here. We can change to hello 2, so everything it's working. So save changes, blah blah blah. And when I sign out, so sign out like this and enter with a different account. So one thing that, yeah, I still need to take the navbar out. Yeah, if I take go here to the calendar, now you see that I don't see the hello 2 thing. Yeah, one thing that you saw here is that when I sign out, the navbar still showing up, which is not ideal. All right, to fix this, what we have to do, so you see this API blah blah blah. What we have to do here is create a new folder, and the name that I'm going to give is app, and I'm going to pass the calendar in here. also pass the fonts inside of app, also the 5 icon, the provides wrapper, almost everything inside of app. Alright, the only thing that I'm going to leave behind, is the API and the auth. Alright, so for me, it actually created here the layout.tsx automatically. I don't know if it did the same to you, but it created me automatically. But here what we need to do, besides that, is import the global CSS, so we actually get the styles from Tailwind. And here, let me go back get back the global CSS and put inside of app. Alright, and then go to layout and make sure that you update here the import. To make sure that the import is right, use the control click and left control and then the left click. Right, so yeah, I don't see the navbar here anymore, and if I sign in with a different account, you see that it's still working as it should. Right. Oh, one more thing that I forgot a lot of things. Here on the navbar, we need to do some changes. So here index, and you need to go to avatar, and here you need to get the information about the user. Right, so let me just go here and say const get the data, which we're going to rename to session, and then is pending, which is coming from auth client dot use session. All right, so if is pending, so if you're still getting me the user data, or if I don't have first we need to check if there is a user. All right, so if it's pending, so let me check if it's pending. Let me show return loading like this. And if we don't have a user, so session dot user, so if we don't have a user, we are going to show an error occur, because the user shouldn't even be in that page. Right, so if he's not signed in, he should not see that page. All right, and here we need, so here on the source, we're going to just remove that, and we're going to say session dot user dot image, like that. So this should give us the user profile image. And now going back to our app, we need to pass this into our client component. So we're going to say use client in here, and let me refresh again, and now we should see the CJ here. Actually, let me just remove that, because this is not going to happen. Never is going to happen, right? So let me refresh, and this is not showing up the image for some reason. And here let me say if it's pending, or if there is not a user sign in. Right, so it's never going to give me an error when I try to sign out, because the user is going to be null. Right, so now let me sign in with this account and hit continue. I don't know why it's not showing up. Maybe it's this component that I'm using. So let me just say here image, and then source. Yeah, I think it's the component that I'm using. Sometimes it's bad. So let me just use a normal image right here. So from Next.js. So image from next image, and class name almost, yeah, we already have it here. And then the source is going to be that, and width of is going to be 8 times 4 is 32, and the height is also going to be height is going to be 32, so we don't need these class names in here. And yeah, goodbye, and do this. Right, so we don't need this anymore, and hopefully we should see here the image showing up. And we got an error because yeah, we need to put this on the available host names. So let me go here on the next config, and this is so Next.js can protect us from using like host names that are not secure. So it only accepts host names that are inside of this next config thing, right? So here we need to say images like this, and then remote patterns like this, and this is going to be an array. And then for host names, yeah, and then for host name, let me add here host name, I'm going to accept the Google host name, which is the one that is complaining, right? So yeah, it closed the directive, right? You need to run this again, so it stopped the server because I made some changes here. And let me hit npm run dev and go to the localhost 3000 again, and hopefully the image should be here. And there we go. Now the image is showing up. I think it was because of the library that I was in. So just quickly add here rounded full, and we have the project done. Right. So one more, guys, I'm very happy for doing this project with you, and of you giving some feedback of things that you would like to see in the app. And as we did here, so he asked me to do the auth and the calendar feature, and here it is. So yeah, I'm very happy for finishing this project here with you. And yeah, this is it, man. I see you in the next project.